Hello there, and welcome to a journey of a new GM. My name is Edward, and in this video we are going to be talking about my players and the first mission that they went on. I need my notes. Hang on a minute. So, yes, back to that. I now have my notes, so I can actually inform you of the first mission of my player characters. My player characters were spending their day wandering around the Ark, and it was a vaguely, it was a bog standard spring day, a little bit chill in the air. They're doing their thing, wandering around. At which point, an NPC stalker called Shanto comes running into the Ark, saying, "Help! Help! I need help! Please, sorry, Torment's been taken. I need your help! I need your help!" At which point my players basically went, "Who?" Obviously they didn't, but there was this, what's wrong? What's wrong? That's when they found out that Tormin, who is a boss within the Ark, has been taken by zone-ghouls, and was taken at the dead house of the town that's nearby to where the Ark is. To my PC's knowledge, my player character's knowledge, that little town was abandoned. So how Tormin got captured is unknown. And of course Shanto was in a bit of a tiz and going, help, it's been captured by horrible people, horrible things. I don't know, they look like us, never really seen it before, they look like us. But they don't look like us. Basically, zone-ghouls. But they weren't unsure what they were. So they went and helped out. They went to the what's it called? To the hospital. The dead house is a hospital, but they called it the dead house because it was full of. Oh no, it wasn't the dead house. The Bonehouse. That's it. They called it the Bonehouse because it was full of corpses and bones. So they called it the Bonehouse. And Tormin had been taken, and he'd been taken to this Bonehouse, to this hospital, effectively. The idea of the mission is that they should learn that there were other threats out there, that there were things that could hurt them, and it wasn't just them, that there were other things out there. Because to their knowledge, that's all they existed. But that was the point of this mission, was to get them to learn the fact that they're not alone. There are threats out there that can hurt them, and nearby as well. So they all head out to this little town, and they see some of the zone-ghouls. They see some of them. They don't see all of them. They also don't see the leader either. They see some of them. They see this big. They approach this building from the back, and there are lots of windows in the back, etc. As well as this little alleyway down the side between this big hospital building and another building to the right. And they see, if I can remember, they see 3 zone-ghouls, one on the roof, one down the side of the building, and one that seems to be walking around the ground floor. They decide to not launch a direct assault, but they decide to try and take out the zone-ghoul on the roof first. So Danko at the time had a bow and arrow. So did Shanto, who's the NPC that went with them. And they both made the agreement that they would both shoot the same guy. So, in order to do so, they had to roll a shoot roll, which is basically a d6. You roll a number of d6, sixes, a number of dice, 6-sided dice, according to the attribute that they would be using. So, in this case, it was agility. So he would need to roll a number of dice equal to the number of that agility, plus a number of dice equal to the skill level that they have. So skill level in shoot could be 2. Agility could be 4. So in total that's 6 dice. That's 6-sided dice. 4 for the agility, 2 for the skill. And then if there's a weapon, if there's a gear bonus, so for example a bow and arrow could give them a +1, they would also add that to the dice pool, and they roll all those dice together, and any 6 is a success. And that's what they do. He rolls, and rolls very poorly indeed. Doesn't get a single 6, doesn't get a single success. At the same time, Shanto fires and does score some hits. In fact, scores are quite a few. So what happens is an arrow goes flying from Danko's bow. At the same time, an arrow goes flying from Shanto. One arrow goes flying past this zone-ghoul, alerting the zone-ghoul, who looks up just in time to have the arrow catch him square in the middle of the forehead and knocking him backwards onto the roof of the hospital. So there was no alert, there was nothing that happened. They were lucky in that regard, but that's what happened. The zone-ghoul on the ground floor was not alerted, and the zone-ghoul that walked up and down the side of the building, not alerted. So they wait for a little bit and they decide to make an assault, decide to enter the hospital. There were some broken windows on the ground floor, so they went in through the broken windows. They knew of the zone-ghoul, and they knew that he was patrolling around the bottom of the ground floor, so they didn't have a lot of time. With them was another NPC called Derek. Derek is an enforcer. He is the enforcer of Tormin. So he obviously has invested interest in coming along, so he goes along with them. And he has a club, basically a plank of wood. But that's his weapon. He's got a club. He's not very bright. Is Derek? He's a lovely guy, but he's not particularly bright. He's not particularly his strength lies in his strength. Basically, he's not particularly the brightest button in the basket. He's a little bit of a sandwich sort of picnic. Excuse all the please excuse all these English phrases, but he's effectively that. But he's a lovely guy anyway. But they tell him, you wait here at this corner. As soon as that bad dude comes around the corner, hit him really hard. Okay, says Derek, because he doesn't really understand anything. Copulation. He's like, okay, fine, I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. I can do something. I can hit something. So after a little while, this zone-ghoul comes along, and Derek does as he's told. He hits him. Not very hard though. In fact, he completely misses. He's so excited that he completely misjudges the height of this creature, the height of this zone-ghoul, and swings over the zone-ghoul's head. This obviously led to my characters going, no, and piling onto this zone-ghoul to knock him out. Unfortunately, they hit him a bit too hard and the zone-ghoul died. Not before informing them of a threat to the Ark. This threat is a very, very long way off, but there is a threat to all mutants in the area. So, having learned that, they decide to then explore a little bit, but also try and make haste to find Tormin. They eventually make their way down to the operating theatre. They make their way to the operating theatre of this hospital. In so doing, in the operating theatre, they see a zone-ghoul standing in front of the door, just facing into the operating theatre, and then they see this much larger zone-ghoul. This zone-ghoul is here. Zone-ghouls are very thin, they're very small, and they're not very small, but they are shorter. The average height is 5 foot, 5'5", 5'6". This zone-ghoul is 5'9", 5'10". Excuse me. And is quite well built as well for a zone-ghoul. Zone-ghouls tend not to be very well built. They tend to be very wiry, very thin, and they don't seem to be very well built. But this one seems a bit more buff. Seems to be a bit more hench, bit more muscle, bit more stocky, bit stronger than this fella. So, and they also see in the operating theatre Tormin lying on the slab, and in the hand of this big zone-ghoul, he has a knife, has a scalpel, and on observing Tormin through this window, they can see that Tormin is looking very worse away. He's cuts. There are lots and lots of cuts. Some of the skin's been peeled back in areas. He's not looking very good, and he's strapped down as well. So they decide to make an assault on this, and the way they do it is they ask Derek to take out the guy behind the door. And while they do that, they also launch in and try and assault this man at the same time and trying to rescue Tormin. Let's see if I can find the. Yes, here we go. Sorry, I was just trying to find my little thing here. What happens is the Derek. Well, how do I describe this? You know how when a bull or a ram or a goat or something is preparing to charge at something, it backs up. The creature backs up, and then charges forward into whatever it wants to hit. That's what happens with Derek. Derek is a big man. He's quite burly. He's quite strong, and that's effectively what happens. He backs up, and then with this great utter scream and bellow of not rage but charge and anger, charges at this door, hits the door and hits the guy behind the door and sends him flying forward. At which point I ask my players to roll for initiative. It's then up to Derek, so Derek then tries to hit him, and because of course Derek's going a little bit sort of barbarian ragey here, and completely misses and screws it all up. At that point, it's the big zone-ghoul, who I have named Mr. Smith. The big zone-ghoul. The zone-ghoul looks up at the characters when he sees them, because the characters then come in. He looks up the characters, smiles, flips the knife around into his hand and drives it straight into Tormin's chest. Straight down. And then starts to run, because he sees he's outnumbered, so he's not going to stick around. So he starts to run. My characters are pissed off at this, and so try to take him out. And actually, they may on Mr. Smith's way out, the villain's way out, they actually managed to shoot him. They shoot an arrow into his shoulder, but that obviously it didn't slow him down. He just kept booking it. He just kept running for it. So I thought, thankfully, they were able to save Tormin. They were able to to stabilize him, and in so doing, they also looted a bit of the hospital. Well, at least that was the idea. They kind of went, ooh, stash stuff here. We're going to take this stuff. Yay! So that's effectively what happened. But yes, Torben was not in a good shape. They all end up back to the Ark, etc. And that's when my players end up meeting some of the Ark's bosses and asking them to do things. But that's going to be for the following episode. Yes, that will be for the following episode, because I see here now that I've been recording for a good 50 minutes or so. That'll be for the following episode. If you like this, please hit the like button, throw something in the comments, throw some love in the comments, hit the subscribe button. And as always, I wish you all the very best and good luck for the future.